Hello and welcome to the Gavel. I am Terry Ikumi. The National Assembly last week adjourned to the 18th of May to allow Muslims celebrate the Eid al-Fitr. Now, there were, however, some committees that held public hearings and meetings in between. But first, let's begin with the Eid celebration at the presidential villa, which had in attendance the President of the Senate and Speaker of the House of Representatives. Speaking to journalists, the President and both leaders of the National Assembly bore their minds on the security situation in the country. Take a listen. President of the Senate Ahmed Lawan and Speaker of the House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila were among several other Muslim faithful who gathered at the forecourt of the presidential villa to observe the Eid al-Fitr prayers with President Muhammadu Buhari. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. After observing the Eid prayers, President Buhari stated that his administration would address the menace of bandits and kidnappers, particularly to ensure food security in the country.
The law enforcement agencies are working hard to regain confidence against the bandits so that people can go back to the land. This is very important. This is what the law enforcement agents are very busy about now. The rainy season is coming, so we want people to go back to the land so that we can get enough food for the country and even export. We understand the problem, and we are hoping Nigerians will understand the problem. Nigerians know at which stage we came, 2015, what stage we are now, both on security, both on economy, and we are going by the Constitution. We are doing our best, but with the resources available and the manpower available to us, we are working very hard, and I think the National Assembly is cooperating very well. Within the resources available to us, they are certainly giving us priority in our requirements.
Meanwhile, the leadership of the National Assembly had this to say about the calls for secession, rising insecurity in the country, as well as the role of local governments in the fight against insecurity.
I think we can attribute some of the security issues to the absence of local government system, functional local government system. For me, I think the time has come for us to take up the challenge, the gauntlet, to ensure that the local government system functions. This is in keeping with looking for ways, for means, for solutions to the security challenges that we face. We must never neglect the local government system. The calls for cessation, the calls for restructuring, many are genuine calls, even though I never believe that someone who is calling for cessation means well or is a misguided person. But I believe that when somebody calls for improving the structure that we have, it's a genuine call. But I want to advise here, I believe that as leaders, those of us who are elected must not be at the forefront of calling for this kind of thing. Because even if you are a governor, you are supposed to be working hard in your state to ensure that this restructuring you are calling at the federal level, you have done it in your state as well. Because what you may accuse the federal government of whatever it is, you may also be accused of the same thing in your state.
This is not a time for name calling or blame or blaming one person or the other. If truth be told, we all have equal shares in the blame in whatever challenges we have. We all must come together. The same way we all have equal shares, we must all come together to make sure that we resolve whatever issues there are. Like I said earlier, nations, the greatest nations have gone through challenges even worse than this, and I believe that it is that spirit of oneness and that spirit of togetherness and unity and love that will take us through this.
In the meantime, a senator from Taraba State, Yusuf, is speaking against calls to impeach the president and the need for every Nigerian to contribute to tackling the security situation in the country.
Some few months ago, we were condemning, or we were asking Mr. President to change the security chiefs. They have been changed. What has happened? So it is a societal thing. let us, come to the time. It is a societal thing. It is not only a government thing. It is your thing, it is my thing, it is her thing, it's everybody's thing in this country. Some few or maybe some months back, nobody thought this thing would be happening in the southeast. Nobody thought this thing would be happening in the southwest. But now it is happening virtually all over the country. So, and it is a variation of so many things coming together. Just like what we say, some people are saying that, break up this country. Some people are saying that, change the leadership, impeach Mr. President. I mean, how will it solve the problem? If you impeach Mr. President, who takes over? The Vice President? Is it not the same government? Or you remove Mr. President and you remove with the Vice President, who takes over? Senate President? Is it not the same government? So what are you doing? So we must think out of the box. And out of the box this time is, this thing is our own responsibility.
Now let's go to the committee engagements. The Senate Committee on Finance is proposing an amendment to the Fiscal Responsibility Act for 60% of gross income of MDAs to be deducted at source as against the 25%. And the House of Representatives is still battling with heads of MDAs and members of the public not honoring invitations to public and investigative hearings. The Senate Committee on Finance intends to sponsor a bill to amend the Fiscal Responsibility Act to curb frivolous spending by some revenue-generating agencies. Chairman of the Finance Committee, Senator Solomon Adeola, who disclosed this during a meeting with heads of government agencies at the National Assembly, says he is proposing that 60% of gross income of MDAs be deducted at source, as against the 25% in the bill. He says this amendment is necessary because the committee has observed that many government agencies are committing illegalities relating to the expenditure of government funds.
Our observation is many of these agencies that are fully funded are spending government revenue that will have been used to fund their budgets. And when it is time for government to provide for what is given to them in the budget, there will be no money to give. So government resorts into borrowing. This year's budget alone is to the tune of about 6 trillion naira, the deficit financing of 2021 budget that the government needs to provide for. And all agencies of the government that ordinarily will have given maximum cooperation by playing their own part in terms of remitting 100% of what is collected for companies for agents that are fully funded, and 80% of the operational surplus for those that are partly or not funded at all. The reverse is the case.
The House of Representatives Committee on Host Communities has frowned at the absence of managing directors of companies operating in the oil-producing areas during a public hearing to ascertain how the House can intervene in the issues affecting host communities. The committee was furious that submissions expected from the companies had also not been received. Chairman of the committee, Dumnamene Deko, described the current situation with the host communities as slavery and says it will no longer be acceptable.
It does appear you are aware that we are even on a short break, but you can see the members who have come out today for this hearing. And if you don't attach that level of importance to this hearing, then it means that you are not ready to also operate and also let us intervene in the issues that affect these host communities. We will no longer accept slavery, because what I think most of the companies are doing, you are enslaving people, and we won't take it anymore. We have a right to protect their rights, their lives, and their livelihood means, and we will stop at nothing in doing that.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives Committee on Petroleum Upstream is furious that the GMD of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, has failed to honor its invitation. The committee is investigating the revocation and restoration of oil licenses by President Muhammadu Buhari.
The powers we have are constitutional, and it's the same power that we use to create establishments such as NNPC. It is an act of parliament. So if you are an act of a particular organization and you don't respect it, then what are you, and what do you intend to pretend? If tomorrow they write any communication to any of their joint ventures and refuse to honor, how would they feel? As we are talking to you today, Honourable Minister, we don't know how many oil wells Nigeria have. As chairman, as a committee on petroleum upstream, we don't know the assets of Nigeria under the NNPC. I want to use this opportunity to talk to you. Please tell them to comply with the provisions of law. Their attitude negates the Constitution of Nigeria. It also negates the Parliamentary Act that establishes them. It also negates what the GMD call TAP. Transparency, accountability, what, and what. It negates it. That slogan, he should change it. Otherwise, he should be responding to our communications. It's not personal, it's official, whatever it is. Even if they do not wish to give, let them tell us, we don't have this information.
I listened very carefully, and I got the message that you sought to pass through me to the NNPC. And I will say that I've taken the message and I will deliver it as you have presented it. But of course, as you know, the issue before you is a situation where I wrote a memo to Mr. President and it was approved, and the NNPC also wrote another memo supposedly against my memo. So if you have that kind of situation, then you wonder if I can actually, I'm in a position to enforce the message that you have presented through me to the NNPC.
Mr. Silva responds to the revocation of the Adax oil assets by President Muhammadu Buhari, saying the Petroleum Act gives power to the minister to revoke any oil prospecting license or oil mining lease.
The matter of Adax was not commenced by me. Everybody knows that this asset has been suboptimally managed. From the beginning of the acquisition to this moment, it has not been optimally operated. When Sinopec acquired this asset from Adax, the production was 130,000 barrels per day. As at today, we struggle to produce 25,000 barrels per day from this asset because there are no new investments and the asset has progressively declined. Mr. President took the right action on the matter according to the laws of our land. And the law is in black and white. I'm sure you all have copies. I will stop here because I don't want to say too much today. I wish that we were in private, we'll be able to discuss and go more into detail. But this is the matter as I know it, the Adax matter. And as far as I'm concerned, the action was fully within the ambit of the law. Mr. President has the powers as Minister of Petroleum to revoke an asset that has not been properly managed. But in this case, it was not because of that. It was because of Article 24 of the Petroleum Act, which I have stated very clearly in black and white.
Meanwhile, the committee is giving the GMD of the NNPC a 2-week ultimatum to appear and explain alleged irregularities in the corporation.
Our final report takes a look at some of the bills and motions considered in both chambers of the National Assembly just before the Ramadan break.
The Senate has passed through second reading a bill to create National Commission for Conciliation and Arbitration, National Labour Council, to address trade disputes in the country.
The bill will not only rectify the defects in the existing Trade Dispute Act, but will give credibility and acceptance of our judgment given by an arbitral tribunal by all litigants or stakeholders. There is no doubt that the Commission established under this bill will provide speedy, cost-effective, efficient, and accessible dispute resolution forum in Nigeria's labor market. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill has no consequential financial implication on government, as the Commission is designed to take over the structures of the Industrial Arbitration Panel.
If within the context of the present Industrial Arbitration Panel, this Commission is situated, I think they might just do the work, which means we are just trying to change the name. The use of the Commission, notwithstanding, it shouldn't be made to look as if we are trying to bring in something huge. Rather, we should take note so that when we come to look at the clause by clause, we will ensure that we do all the court fitting to make sure that this panel, this particular commission, is appropriate for the mandate that is being given.
The Red Chamber also considered and adopted a motion on the urgent need to provide special presidential intervention for persons living with disability in Nigeria.
Mass empowerment and employment opportunities in the public and private sectors, skill acquisition in agro-allies, services, business development, mental fabrication, etc., and CBN through NISAL to provide starter packs. Provision of community-based rehabilitation services across the country, and recruitment of clinical services provided in all polling units, who shall provide adequate rehabilitation, diagnosis, administer assistive devices, make referral services, and manage disability complicities.
What they need, people with special need, is not our sympathy. What they demand from us is empathy. Put yourself in their position. That's what they want from us. They don't want our pity. They want our understanding. This is what they just need. If you have empathy for them, if you show understanding, not pity, you have solved the problem of people with special needs.
If you want to look at how a society is really planning to develop itself, or how empathetic it is, look at how it treats those that are vulnerable in the society. This motion will definitely bring to the fore the important necessity of ensuring that those who are challenged, those with special needs in our country, are given the kind of attention that they rightly deserve.
Our rules do not allow it.
In the House of Representatives, a bill for an act to provide legal framework for the national social investment programs has scaled second reading. The House believes that the bill will make the social investment programs more effective and better coordinated to reach the right people.
The federal government today is squarely bearing the cost of founding the SIPs in Nigeria, even though the states and the local government councils that represent the second and the third tier of government happens to be the biggest beneficiaries. I believe the time has come for the states and indeed the local government councils to key in and complement the effort of the federal government in mobilizing resources for the funding of the SIPs. Consequently, this bill in Section 14, subsection A, proposes for the direct deduction of 15% aggregate of the value-added tax collected monthly for the purpose of funding these novel programs.
A motion on the urgent need to address the menace of capital flight in Nigeria was also considered in the House.
Worried at the alarming rate of foreign medical services being sought by Nigerians, both private individuals and government officials, which amounts to more than $6.5 billion based on the statistics released by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in 2015. while expenses on foreign education amount to more than $3 billion based on estimates released by the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TED Fund, in the 2014 annual report. Cognizance of the recent series of pleas by successive governments to foreign banks and other international financial institutions to release and repatriate stolen and diverted funds in millions of dollars stockpiled abroad by corrupt leaders. Concerned that capital flight exerts detrimental effects on both short and long-term growth of the economy by reducing domestically available investable capital as it represents foregone investment in manufacturing plants, infrastructure, social welfare, reduction of country tax base, and contribution to the high debt profile, among others. The House resolves to, 1, urge the federal government to develop effective mechanism and strategy to prevent persistent occurrence and address the menace of capital flight in Nigeria.
The Green Chamber is calling for a review of modular refinery licenses relating to indigenous firms. The lawmakers are asking that licenses of those underperforming be revoked and more serious operators considered.
Companies like that, the essence of issuing the licenses have been defeated, as beneficiaries have not been able to put to them in use, which is fine product for local consumption and export. Resolve, urging the NNPC to review the status of each of the licenses, revoke and reissue to them, to competent people and reliable operators. Also urge the NNPC to give technical assistance to those who have started construction work to enable the commence operation to set up demand for Nigerians. Finally, mandate the Committee on Petroleum Resources up and downstream to ensure compliance.
Meanwhile, lawmakers in the lower chamber also considered and adopted a motion on the need to investigate the automated e-ticketing process of the Abuja-Kaduna train service.
Also aware that the e-ticketing system for the Kaduna-Abuja train services enable commuters to book tickets online, thus curbing ticket racketeering and the stress for purchasing tickets at the train stations. Concerned that ticket racketeering, which the e-ticketing system sought to eradicate, is still going on unabated, as tickets can no longer be adequately assessed online due to mischievous activities of some people who racketeer the tickets and resell to passengers at exorbitant prices. Cognizant that if the activities of the racketeers are not curbed, passengers will continue to be denied the privilege of accessing the train services, as sometimes a train may leave the station without carrying the required number of passengers because the tickets are not accessible or affordable to majority of the passengers. The House resolves to 1, urge the management of the Nigerian Railway Corporation, NRC, and the Secured 18 Company Limited to strengthen their internal mechanism with a view to eradicating the ticket racketeering. Also mandate the Committee on Land Transport to investigate the matter and report back within 2 weeks.
Well, that's it on The Gavel this week. Do send feedback to thegavel@channelstv.com. I'm Terry Ikumi. Goodbye.